Ladies and gentlemen, I'm delighted to be opening this very significant occasion. There are many dignitaries in the audience, and I think our safest formula for dealing with all the dignitaries is just to acknowledge the Wexner children. I'm delighted to be here for two very particular reasons. I think the Jewish people and the State of Israel are beholden to Abigail and Les Wexner, who have been very generous in endowing programs, building leadership for the Jewish people in North America, educating Jewish professionals, and in preparing the cadre that would lead Israeli public service by establishing the Israel Wexner program that sends every year 10 up-and-coming civil servants and public workers to the Kennedy School. By now, we have about 100 graduates who have become a brand name and have become a force unto its own in Israeli public service, and there's more to come. The Wexners are not only generous, but they're also involved. The presence here was an opportunity to galvanize our activity. They spent time with the staff of the program, with the graduates, discussing, and I think everybody was very much impressed by the way in which they are in touch with the program, involved, motivated, and they are the kind of lay leaders that every program and every people would like to have. And therefore the fact that the President very generously agreed to host this occasion so that the State of Israel and the Jewish people could acknowledge their debt to the Wexners in the residence of the sovereign of the State of Israel is very apt. And I'm very grateful to the President for hosting and for his staff. And for dealing with that. And that brings me to the second reason for being delighted, namely that's the response. You have responded in large numbers, graduates, friends of the program, members of the committee, and other friends who wanted to be here. This reflects not only high regard to the Wexners, but first and foremost, high regard to the standing and popularity of President Weizmann, I think, who led this residence and office through some very difficult times, putting a lot of contents and direction into this office. Those of us who were involved in the peace process in past years are very grateful to his ongoing support of that process through some very difficult moments. I think his leadership is recognized in Israel and among those members of the Jewish people from the diaspora who are with us, and by coming here they pay tribute both to the President and to the Wexners. I would now like to call on Shimon Peres, who needs no introduction, but today happens to be temporarily Speaker of the Knesset. That was what they would call in Americanese an unplanned career move. Who is a friend of the program and a personal friend of the Wexners, to be our first speaker. Shimon.
I would like also to thank the President for giving us an occasion to express our thanks and appreciation to two brilliant people, Abigail and Les, that happen to be also a couple, and they are doing a brilliant job for our people, for our country, and for the young generation. The story I like is about two gentlemen that were following a lady. Son is saying to her, look what a beautiful lady. He says, how do you know? You didn't see her face. He says, yes, but I see the faces of the people who are coming across. I see the faces of your graduates. So I know it's a brilliant program. As a matter of fact, one of them is working with me, and I must tell you, what you did to him in 1 year, we would never do in 100 years. You really? Where is Avi? Here? And some others. I want to say a word about Les. I think if Les would plan his career from the very beginning, he would probably become an architect. His great preference and desire is to construct. Whatever he did was never by maneuvering, but always by structuring. If it's a business, if it's a home, if it's a group of people. And he understood from a very early age that if you build a force, you don't have to use it. The better you build, the better strengths you are providing. And wherever I met Les, I saw him all the time, either constructing or planning to construct, without interruption, never satisfied with what he did, always in search of something which may improve, better, contribute. And I'm very glad that he understood that this attitude should prevail, not only vis-à-vis business or buildings or organizations, but basically vis-à-vis people. I don't know anybody else who has decided to invest so much attention and so much energy to help us, by the way, to educate a group of people to run our own government, our own business, to do it for Jewish life, in a very generous way, but without waste of energy or money. It must really be to the point, on the purpose, and it must be result-oriented. It cannot be, just flowing in there and having a memo here or a press conference there, nothing whatsoever. And since he's a builder of potentials, may I say he has a potential of being a builder of Jewish life, of being a leader of our own people. And we are not satisfied with what you did until now. The call is still hanging in the air. So you can offer so many qualities and experience and leadership on a wider scale in the deepest meaning. Thank you very much.
I would now like to call on Abigail and Les to address us in whatever order they choose or in whatever order they extricate themselves.
I'd like to thank the President and all the dignitaries for coming today, and all of our friends and family, just all of you. I appreciate what Shimon said about caring for the Jewish people. I have to care for this one at the moment. I think Sarah is sound asleep. I appreciate this very much. Sarah is sound asleep, Hannah. Yes, okay. I think the recognition in the cause for us coming together is not what Abigail and I have done, but it's really what about 100 of you have done. 100 not up and coming, I would beg to differ, but quite successful people who have dedicated their lives to government, to civil service, to the public, Israelis, who then gave a year of their life for academic study in the United States at Harvard University at the Kennedy School of Government, and who have come back and have not only contributed in their own fields of endeavor, but have bonded together, created a network, a leverage, and I hope a creative and positive force for the benefit of the Jewish people. So it's you that I salute and you that I thank. Thank you.
I would like now to call upon President Weizmann to address us.
ערב טוב, חבר'ה. All of them are graduates of your enterprise? I didn't joke when I said that I'm under the inspiration of the opening of the 15th Knesset, which is destiny wanted it. Shimon and I don't know what I was singing, he was dancing, he was singing and I was dancing, but our life has been joined together for the last almost 50 years, especially in the defense empire of Israel, and both of us did a little bit to contribute to the strengthening of this organization, but I think Shimon, in his own way, did a hell of a lot. We were discussing in my office now certain things that had it not been for Shimon wouldn't have existed. Some things you can talk about, some things you can't talk about. And the great thing about Shimon is a dreamer, but a practical dreamer. Nothing is more practical than a good theory. And it's world is full of theories, but the world needs practical people to execute these theories. And we two have gone together through a lot of ups and downs, a lot of criticism. I'm talking internally, not with the Arabs. With the Arabs we didn't have problems. It's only with our people that we had problems. And to convince, I'm talking about the early 50s and then the late 50s, to convince people that you have to go and work for this goal, for that goal. And the beauty of life is that we spent about, I think, 30 years of our life, Shimon, if I may say we do roughly the same time, on how to wage wars. And lately, in the last 20 years, I think that we are spending most of our times, and I'm glad to say that you and I, each and every one in his own capacity, to fight for peace. Both of us wrote books, roughly the same titles, The Battle for Peace, or The Battling for Peace, whatever you call it. And a long time I came to a conclusion that it's much easier to have a little war than have a constructive peace. And the thing that you are doing relates to the fact that with this unusual age of electronics, of computers, of internet, the human being still has a lot to say. The old story of who makes history. Does a leader make a history, or does history make a leader? And I believe that leaders make history. They have to know to grab a situation and say, this situation gives me the opportunity to work towards a goal that I think is the goal. And I think if you don't agree, I think that we think the same, that we live in an era now that's a golden opportunity to change the life of Israel, to change the life, therefore, of the Jewish people, because we are now more interconnected than we ever were, and come to a final constructive peace between us and the Arab world. To start off with the Palestinians, well, we've gone a long way. They control now Gaza, control 7 cities, Jenin, Tulkarem, Kalkilia, Nablus, Ramallah, Bethlehem, Jericho. The other day I had a terrific, I have here an old friend, a young man, he's bald-headed now, Reuben and Chava, who are good friends of my late son in the paratroopers, and he's now doing all sorts of hushy-pushy jobs. I was invited for dinner at Malé Adumim, which is a nice little township, 20,000 inhabitants east of Jerusalem. And coming back at about 10:30, 11 o'clock at night, on the way to Jericho Road, I came to the roadblock of the Israeli Defense Forces, and usually I don't ride in armored cars, and I don't ride with curtains. And I opened the window, stuck my head out and said, "Hi boys, how are you doing?" They looked at me and said, "Ah, Mr. President, were you gambling in Jericho?" So with all the pressures and with all the problems, you can have some fun. And believe me, the youth of Israel is a terrific crowd. I have come to learn more about the young people of Israel, although I knew them quite well, through my 6 years at this house. Then it was a white house, gray house, green house, black house, but I started calling it a house and not a mishkan. Mishkan is in the Bible. That's not Mishkan Nesieh, so this is Beit HaNassi, not Mishkan HaNassi. And I hope it's being conducted like a Beit and not like a Mishkan. And what you are doing is so important for the young generation of Israel. Because they're full of energy, they're full of purpose, they're full of a great appreciation of what we do. It's a fallacy to say that there's no ambition, that there's no this, no that. Today in my little speech of 7 minutes or whatever you call it in the Knesset, I said that my experience in hospitals brought me much closer to the young generation of Israel. Where combat soldiers, I met I don't know how many in the last 6 years, most of them, if they're not too badly wounded, what I do, I call a doctor and say, "How is he doing?" He says, "Well, in 3-4 weeks time, perhaps a month, he'll be up on his legs again." "Young man, what do you want to do when you're okay?" "What's the question? I'm going back to the unit." Each and every one of them, 90% of them, want to go back to a fighting unit. And your old brigade, your old battalion, and not only them, they're not bald-headed now. And there's a fine group of young men wanting to serve the country, but wanting to live a different life than we did. Because from the age of 18, I've been serving my little country, doing my best. But as I said, 30 years in war and 20 years in peace. And since I believe that it's leaders who change history, leaders who move things, what you're doing by helping, and I know a few people here who did go through your tuition courses, is a great contribution to the future of the world, the future of Judaism, the future of Israel. And I don't want to go through a lot of other examples, but I remember that Professor Katzir, who was the 4th president, and is a great scientist. Unfortunately, the president is not feeling well. He's in Tel HaShomer. I'm going to see him tomorrow. And he once told me that my late uncle, who I never know whether he was a scientist or a politician, he used science for politics and politics for science, and I don't know what mishmash came out of it, but he was a great fellow. And he told me that he said to Katzir's mother, "Why, Mrs. Kachowski," which was the name, "why is it you bring to the world 2 more sons like Aaron and Ephraim?" Aaron was killed in one of the terrorist activities. No, Lud, Japanese. And we have talent, we have will. We have receipts to what has been achieved. I went to China for a week. I came back 2 months ago. First of all, they think that Shimon experienced the same. The president of China talked to me all the time about Einstein. I checked with Shimon, it's the same thing. No, they think that the Jews are the greatest. They don't believe us that we're only 5 million here. They think we hide about 100 million. And again in my speech in Knesset, I said today, if you want to enjoy Israel, go abroad. Not for too long, but go abroad and watch Israel through the eyes of the Goyim. And you'll find that you're a bunch of so-and-so and so, not appreciating what we have achieved. And when I sit with the Minister of Agriculture of China, and he wants help from Israel, and he tells me, Mr. President, you have to realize I have a problem with 800 million peasants. 800. If you would have told me 600 million, would have been enough. But it's good. 800 million. And we have hot houses. By the way, no, we haven't got any Air Force people. One of the former Air Force brigadiers is now building hot houses in China. Growing flowers, growing green peppers, blue peppers, red peppers, all sorts of things that the University of Jerusalem, the Agriculture Department develops. I think that we can look to the future with stout hearts, based on our achievements here, based, number one, to achieve peace with the Arab world, that will help the youngsters to do something else, not only go fighting. We'll have for a long time to keep armed forces. We'll have to keep an Army, Navy, and Air Force, but that's a special lecture on its own. How right you are, young man. And therefore, what we have to develop now, after peace, parallel to making peace, is developing the human element of the Israeli people. I don't know much about American Jews. I haven't been to New York for 8 years. I don't miss it. In my job here, the last 6 years, I spent 3 days in Washington. I took my little 707, flew to Washington, spent some time with Clinton, some time with the lady, and sometimes with Sandy Berger. I went to see the Pentagon for one reason. A Cohen invited me. Cohen, the non-Jew. And I was always received as defense minister in the Pentagon with a 19-gun salute. I wanted to get 21. And I got a 21-gun salute, which was nice, and as you know, the American armed forces know how to parade. No, they know how to fight, they know how to bomb, they know how to hit. Not many misses. And I went to the Pentagon. I don't know whether it's a secret that I'm telling or not, but I signed in the guest book. I signed Ezer Weizmann in English and Ezer Weizmann in Hebrew. And the Secretary of Defense of the United States took my pen and under my name signed in Hebrew, Ze'ev. So we are very peculiar people. Quite a lot of Ze'evim. Ze'ev is a wolf. I'm interested primarily in leadership in Israel. Bless you for doing this in America too, but especially bless you for doing it in Israel. And the coming century, which is going to be a highly technical century, still will need good men, because we always used to say at the beginning of computers, input rubbish, output rubbish. So we still need good men to feed the computers, to know how to develop things. One young man came with me to China. He left the army, he's only 28, he left 5-6 years ago, was one of the hottest electronic departments. He's now worth about, Shimon, you know, where are you? Where's my adjutant? My adjutant is not here, I'm going to bash him. He's worth now about $200 million. Youngster. Invented something in security of computers. Is on the stock market in New York. They all take all the time looking at stock markets, all the things. We don't know what that means. Shimon, we didn't live with stock market. But I feel that I'm running away with myself because I'm in a good mood today. After all, I opened the new Knesset. And again, Shimon and I, he took over from me the transport ministry, I took from him the defense ministry. I handed over the hammer to him to bang, 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 and open the Knesset. And both of us were having a good time with the hammer. So, bless you, Abigail, which is in good Hebrew is Abigail, which is quite a character in the Bible. And you, for doing what you do. I see that you also have young children. And to all of you that have gone through the course and have come here to be my guests in this house, thank you very much, and come again.
I'd like to thank President Weizmann for his very warm address. Mr. President, when you speak about the dichotomy in your uncle's life between science and politics, if you spend your days on a university campus like myself, you don't see the dichotomy.
But in the letter, went back to his capital, it would contribute more to doing what he's not doing.
Okay.
I never wrote the letter.
Thank you. Let me acknowledge two couples who have joined us in progress, as it were. Andy and Charles Bronfman, whose work in the diaspora and here, I think, very much resembles what the Wexners are doing. And Susie and Abba Ibn, the elder statesman of Israeli politics, the founding father of Israeli diplomacy. Welcome. Now yes. This, Mr. President, this adds all the more reason for you to accept our invitation to stay with us at the end of this formal part. Yeah. Well, I was about to thank you for it. Yeah. So the president was very gracious to allow us subconsciously to have an informal part, but we very much would like you to stay with us and spend some time with the Ibans and with everybody else. Here or in the buffet? Yeah. Yes. So, if good, okay. So, the president having accepted our invitation, we don't have to rise in order to enable him to leave. We'll just mix. Thank you very much. Thank you all.